What's up? Okay, so I decided I was going to go ahead and make a video for section 4.2. I think that everybody was able to come back and learn this section at school. I skipped over it during e-learning originally because I didn't know who had graphing calculators at home, because you need a graphing calculator for this section. I think that everybody has come back to school and learned this section, but I might be wrong about that. So I just want to make sure that I cover this for those people who need it. If you were here when we learned this section, then you don't need to watch this video. If you feel like it might be good for you to go over it again, or if you weren't here and you never learned section 4.2, then this video is for you, okay? So here we go. Looking good. Okay, so this section's about linear regression, and we are gonna need our graphing calculator. So hopefully you have yours at home. I've been talking to some of you about whether you have one or not. All right, so you're gonna go ahead and graph these points on this coordinate plane. I'm gonna do that. You're gonna pause the video while you do that, and I'm gonna do the same. And then when you hit pause again, all of my points are gonna magically appear on there. So pause in 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, hey, looky there. We got all the points graphed, and you'll also notice that I've drawn a line here. This line is called the line of best fit for the data. And I've done my best to draw the line so that it goes through at least 2 of my points, and I've tried my best to have as many points above the line as there are below the line. Now, I wasn't perfect, and you can try this as well on your paper. I wasn't perfect. It was still, I just used a ruler and I just eyeballed it. But I did the best that I could, and I found that that line had an equation of about y equals x plus 1.9. So this is a line of best fit. Now, when we write an equation for that line, the equation of the line is called a regression equation. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to have our graphing calculator find that regression equation a little bit more exactly. So I'm going to turn on my calculator here. Hopefully, we'll be able to see this on the screen, and I'm going to pause and, well, it looks okay. I'm going to choose new document. I'm going to tell it not to save. And the first thing I'm going to do is open a lists and spreadsheet page. I'm going to go to the top of that first column. I'm going to label that column X. I'm going to type in X. Then if I hit the tab button, that'll go to the next column. I'm going to label that column Y. I'm going to skip this row that has the equals in it, and I'm just going to type in all the X coordinates in the X column and all the Y coordinates in the Y column, and I'm getting those straight from this table. So I've got -2, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4.5, 5, and 6. And then I'll arrow all the way back up to the top, go to the Y column, and type in all the Y coordinates. 0, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3.5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 8, and 7. Make sure that when you type in that last number that you either hit the enter button or one of the arrow buttons. Otherwise, that number won't actually be entered into that cell. So we've got our data put into this spreadsheet. Now we need to have the calculator analyze this data. So we're going to open a new page, which means above that doc button says add a page. So we're going to control doc, we're going to add a page. So this time we're going to open a page that's called data and statistics, which is option 5. And you're going to see this weird scatter plot here. We're going to have to scroll our little arrow mouse thingy down here to this horizontal axis until it turns into a cross. Click your little button there and choose that we want that to be our x-axis. And now really what we have is a single variable histogram here. So we also need to scroll over to the vertical axis and click that and tell that we want that to be the y coordinate. And now you should see a scatter plot that looks really similar to what we have on our paper here. What we need to have our calculator do now is to analyze this data and come up with an exact regression equation, and that's really easy to do. We're going to go into the menu. We're going to choose option 4, which is Analyze. and then option 6, which says regression. And we're going to make the very first choice there, which says show linear. Hit enter, and it's going to come up with your linear regression equation. If you want to, you can hover it over until you get that hand, and then kind of hold down your button until the hand closes, and then you can drag that equation around if you want to. Now, when we write down these regression equations, we are going to round them to the nearest 10,000. That's 4 decimal places. Well, this first one is 0.99699. Let's just call that 0.9970x plus 1.8254. So we're going to 4 decimal places. Okay, and that's really about all you need to know. If we go to the next page here, I'm not going to bother with graphing all these points on this graph here. Let's just find our regression equation. The idea here is that this family has like the temperature is getting hotter and hotter and hotter as the weather warms up, and then their electric bill is going higher as well. By the way, when both quantities increase, we call that a positive correlation. This data had a positive correlation because the line of best fit has a positive slope. If the line of best fit has a negative slope, we call that a negative correlation. Okay, so we're going to go back into our spreadsheet here. Actually, you know what? Let's just start over. I'm going to hit my on button and tell it to start a new document and say, no, I don't want to save. We're going to start all over again, and we'll add a list and spreadsheet page. Okay, so once we're in our spreadsheet, we're going to name the columns. And now you don't have to use X and Y. In fact, I can type in anything I want. You just can't use any spaces or any special like figures or anything. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to see if I can't get this to focus a little bit better. I'm not going to be able to do that because I'm not using the other software. Okay, so that says temp if you can't read it. And then if I hit tab and go over to the other column, let's just call that bill because it's the electric bill. I'm going to skip the equals row, and I'm going to type in all the temperatures, and I'm going to type in all the electric bills. The temperatures all just go up by 5, so it's not too bad. 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110. Okay, I'm going to arrow all the way back up to the top, and I'm going to type in all the values for the electric bill. 45, 53, 62, 70, 68, 80, 85, 98, 115, 68, 143, 135, 153. Okay, we got it all entered. Now let's get the regression equation. To do that, we add a new page. So second doc, which is add a page. We do data and statistics and hit enter. We get these weird points strewn around. We go down to the horizontal axis, click it, and you'll notice now it doesn't say X and Y. It says bill and temp because that's what we named those things. We need the temperature to be on the horizontal axis because the temperature is what we call the independent variable. You have to know the temperature to determine what the electric bill is going to be. So we're going to put temperature on the horizontal axis, and then we're going to put the electric bill on the vertical axis. And there's our scatter plot. You'll notice we have this one weird point down here that we call an outlier. We'll talk about that guy here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and get our regression equation. So again, we hit the menu button. We're going to choose to analyze, which is option 4. We want a regression, which is option 6. And then we want a linear regression, which is the first one. Do not use option 2. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. Just use option 1. Linear regression, and there you go. We're going to write down this regression equation correct to the nearest 10,000th. I'm going to move it out of the way so I can read it a little bit better. Now, if we go to the next page here, it asks us in number 3, what is the equation of the line of best fit? That's the regression equation. So I'm copying that straight down from my calculator here. I've got that the bill, let's say B for electric bill, is equal to 1.6352 times T for temperature minus 40.4286. Remember, we go to 4 decimal places. Now it asks, do the data points show a linear relationship exists? I think so. We can definitely see these things are more or less lining up. This has a positive correlation or a positive relationship because as the temperature increases, the amount of the bill increases. Number 2, what about that 1 point? What's going on there? Well, maybe the air conditioner broke. So then it didn't, it caused the bill to go down that month. Maybe they went on vacation, something like that. Number 3, we've done this already. We've done number 3 already. What can this equation be used to calculate? Well, if you know the temperature outside, we can calculate what the electric bill will be. We can go the other way as well. If I tell you what the electric bill is, you can use that to predict what the temperature is outside. Number 5, using the equation for number 3, predict the electricity bill when the average outside temperature is 73. Now, when you show me this work, I need to see this step where you substitute 73 for T. Okay, you need to write that out so I can see that you put 73 in place of the correct variable. Now you can just go to your calculator and crunch the numbers. Now we need to open a calculator page on our calculator. So I'll go Control Doc and just open a calculator page. And now I can type in 1.6352 times 73 minus 40.4286. Boom, there it is, 78.941. So $78.94. Number 6 says, suppose the electricity bill was $110. What would the temperature be? So now I'm going to put 110. I'm going to substitute that for B. And again, I must see this step where you put the 110 in place of B. The rest of it, you can just do right on your calculator. So I can go to my calculator and just kind of solve this equation. So I'm going to start by adding the 40.42. So I'll take 110 and add 40.4286 and then divide that by 1.6352. I'm fine if you do that all on your calculator. I just need to see this setup. So we got 91.994. Let's just call that 92 degrees. Okay, so that's how we do those problems on our calculator, the regression problems. Hopefully that helps if you haven't been here at school for that lesson, although I think most of you have. Okay, that's it. Thanks. See you later. Have a Merry